Folks, and welcome back to the plot. Starting off in the shed today. I've missed you, shed. I've really kind of missed making videos, and I've definitely missed being at the allotment. It feels like I've been away for years. If you missed the last few videos, I have been on the trip of a lifetime. I had the most amazing holiday. We went to Japan, and I could talk about it for a whole video. It was just one of the best experiences of my entire life. I'm really lucky because I have a friend who lives in Tokyo, so we went and stayed with him for like 2 weeks basically, and it was just incredible, just mind-blowing experience. We went and stayed for a few days in the countryside as well, in the shadow of Mount Fuji. It was just spectacular. It was like minus 10 degrees as well, and it snowed. It was just like beautiful. We went on this hike and found a frozen waterfall. It was just like pure magic. Honestly, I had the best time, and I could go on and on. One thing that is like slightly relevant to the channel and everyone's interest about Japan that I wasn't really expecting, but like all of the agriculture I saw was small scale. It looked like allotments basically. Pretty much everywhere you went in the kind of rural outskirts anyway, there were just like these massive allotment sized plots, you know, kind of maybe like 5 allotment patches, you know, like maybe like 50 rods, that kind of thing. And they were all subdivided into these little patches. And that's what agriculture is like all across Japan. I couldn't believe it. I saw more rotivators kind of at the side of the fields than I've ever seen before. It was really cool, like, and such a difference from the English landscape, especially in the south of England, Hampshire and Oxfordshire, where you just have these giant arable fields, you know, that run for as far as the eye can see. It was just quite cool. It was like a little bit of home, like all these small allotment sized patches. But yes, completely out the loop. So the plan for today is just to show you around a little bit, show you what the plot looks like, having left it for pretty much a month, and trying to get my head back in the game and decide what to do next. One other thing to mention, of course, we went in the dry season, Japan, and it was like I've never experienced dryness, you know, like living in wet old Blighty, where it's just humid and damp all the time. It was incredible. Like, we were out in minus kind of 5, minus 10 degrees, but it was dry, and it was so much more comfortable, you know. Like, I've always heard people talk about the difference between like dry cold and wet cold. It was revolutionary experiencing it. It's just like, right, yeah, why is it warmer in minus 5 in Japan than it is in like 5 degrees at the allotment? And today it is like just completely wet and miserable and horrible. But first things first, the beds look brilliant. I'm really pleased. It helps, of course, it's still been very cold, so even if there are loads of weeds kind of waiting in the wings to start springing up, it's been too cold for them to germinate. So all the beds just look really nice and pristine. Ignore that water butt lid that's come off. And it just could look so much worse. Before I left, I was kind of focused on just trying to tidy the plot up, and I felt like I'd done a brilliant job. And then, you know, when you've gone away for a little while and you come back somewhere and you've got completely fresh eyes, it's like, ooh, it's not as tidy as I remembered. Still quite a lot of stuff absolutely everywhere, you know. This greenhouse is currently full of dead chili peppers. Now, my idea with the chili peppers, oh, it's quite warm in here though, that's nice. My idea with the chili peppers has been just to leave them, just to see if there's any signs of life, if these come back. This one's still got a little bit of green, but it's going to be a little while until we know for sure if any of these are going to survive and be overwintered. I should talk about chilies, shouldn't I? I should talk about chilies. These are my little soil testers. Now down here we've got the tray of homemade compost. We've got 2 trays of homemade compost, and this is a little weed germination test. Now I've already put all of this, this is from the hot bin, I've already put it all over the polytunnel, so it's kind of a moot point now. If it is full of weed seed, the damage has been done, but it's still interesting to see. And this is my control. And this shows exactly why I've done this, because this is just soil that I dug up out of the ground, and this is 100% going to be full of weed seed. And if there's no weed seed in here, that means that this test isn't really working yet. We can't learn anything from it. And I think they probably just need a bit of water. And it is starting to warm up in the greenhouse, so we should know pretty soon. But yes, on the topic of chilies, I have started my chili seeds, but we've got no germination yet because it's only been like 2 days. Unfortunately, when I got back from Japan, I was a little bit ill, and then the entire traveling party got a bit ill, like just a kind of like flu type thing. So that put me out of action for a little while, and I didn't really want to get stressed out about gardening and chili peppers and that kind of thing. But as soon as I started to feel a bit better this week, I did get the chili seeds sown. And I'll show you the varieties on Seedsio that I've got in the tray right now. I have stayed true to my promise of scaling down, which I never knew. I never knew if it was going to happen or not. But I've only done 15 plants. No, I've done 20. that's the light scratch out. The idea is to do 15, but I do think I've sown 20. And if we get any overwinter successes, then I'm going to feel really bad culling those off. So I think that's been the right idea. The idea of it is I've done 2 of all the varieties, and I might just keep 1 of each. So we might end up with just 10 plants. We'll see. But it's not the only thing I've sown. So in this greenhouse, we have some activity. Oh, it's lovely and warm in here already. So I was up here yesterday. Oh, I love just the feeling, the way the sound changes when you come in a greenhouse. Absolutely love it. And you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trays. I don't actually think I was pointing the camera at those then. Brilliant work. And a little one down there as well. So I've got things started. And I did all of this off camera. I just wanted to, like I say, try and start getting my head back in the game, because to be honest, getting started again has just felt so daunting, you know, just like really overwhelming. Like once I sow the first seed, that's it. I know, you know, you're kind of, you're locked in then. Once you start sowing seeds, that's it. You've got to take care of your plants. You know, I can't deal with the guilt of like just leaving them. So it's like, it's quite a commitment, basically. I was really, really on the fence, and I just came up yesterday and I was like looking around at all the different things I could do, and I thought, sow some seeds. And as soon as I started sowing them, you know, you just get that little excitement, and I got really carried away. So 10 trays later, I was feeling on top of the world. It's a really, really good feeling. But there is logic behind that kind of daunting fear, because I know now I'm wedded to them. I'm locked in. And in fact, most of these are flowers. I know there's loads of, I'll talk about that in a moment. Most of this is flowers though, and a lot of it is not labelled. And I'm just lazy, okay? I haven't labelled it because I'm lazy. But if I haven't labelled it, I know what the vegetation looks like, and I know I'll recognise the vegetation. So if it's something I'm a little bit less sure of, or it's something I've never grown before, then I will always label it. If it's something where, you know, I've only done 1 variety, I think some of this is black scabious. I know what that looks like. When it starts to germinate, I'll be like, there's the black scabious. And I've got pictures of all the seed varieties, so I can check on that. This is all the heat-loving flowers, so these have got a little propagator on. I say heat-loving, they just like it a little warmer. So this is like cosmos, straw flowers, some Meadows cranebill, which is a slightly interesting wildflower. I doubt I'll have much success, but I have loads and loads of flower seeds up here. I just wanted to get them in the ground. Over here we've got cosmos, loads of different types of cosmos and calendula. We've got the overwintered Sweet Williams in here. I recently repotted those. We've got some of the dahlia tubers. I've replanted those. They seemed okay. They didn't seem damaged or anything. You know, I dug them up. It had got a little bit cold though, so I'm not filled with hope for those, but we'll see. In here, we've got a tray of brassicas. Look, allotment growing. That's basically loads of different cabbages. They'll all germinate at slightly different times, and we'll see. It's still very early for a lot of this, but I just wanted to get started. You know, a lot of this is really to start me sowing in March, but it's the end of it's fine. It's the end of February. We're in the south. It'll be fine. What could go wrong? This is a little tray of leeks. So I've not got any leeks or onions sown before yesterday. So kind of late for the onions. Well, very late for the onions, but about right for the leeks, and just Musselburgh leeks. We've got a couple of trays in here of wildflower mixes, basically. Just done some lions. I'm not too hopeful when I tend to do wildflower mixes. They're not very successful. Started off some peas, just some Kelvedon Wonder in a little root trainer there. That one I think is a tray of all different kinds of marigolds. I've got about 6 different marigold seed packets, so you know, I'll just chuck a load in. This one is my onions, and this year I'm trying a couple of F1 varieties, Frontier and Expression, which were kindly sent to me by David last year. You know, I don't tend to have much luck with onions. We'll see. And then down here, that's the black scabious. Actually, I've just seen the thing, and there's some spinach in there too. Kind of a nice timing for spinach, I think, before it starts getting way too warm and it'll just bolt. So I'm feeling pretty chuffed with myself, to be honest. There's quite a lot of other stuff that I could get going, veg-wise, you know, broad beans and loads more peas. That's just one tray, there's not much. But it will be on the to-do list and it will get done. I've started sowing now, so that's it. You know, the dam has broken. But it was really nice to just kind of come up, no camera, it didn't take long as well. Now that I've got this greenhouse kind of set up, relatively optimized, you know, with that nice little potting area, everything is just, everything's in the right place. You just come in, you pull out your seed tray from here, you get the little base, whack a load of compost in it, a little bit of perlite just for some drainage in case you overwater it a little bit too much, and then you just sow the seed. It's just so easy, and I love this as well. I did say I was going to talk about this. So the plan is, this is the green stalk, the self-watering tall tower planter, and this kind of needs to be done now, but I've experienced that I don't know what to call it. There's a bit in Malcolm in the Middle, which is just one of my favourite bits of TV ever. It's so good. Hal, the dad, goes to change a light bulb. He goes into the drawer to get the fresh light bulb out, and the drawer's not opening properly. So he has to go into the garage to get a can of WD-40 or some oil to kind of fix the door. The can's run out. So he's got to go to the shop to get a new can of oil. And he goes to start the car, and the car's not working. So he's under the car working when his wife comes in and says, "Hal, have you changed the light bulb?" He goes,
"What does it look like I'm doing?"
And it's just perfect. And that is exactly what I'm experiencing on the allotment at the moment. So the green stalk needs to go in here. So I've got some more room for planting. But at the moment, the polytunnel is full still of timber. We've got some garlic that could kind of go outside. But the main issue, the main thing taking up space at the moment is probably the compost. So I need to get the compost out of here. So in order to sow some more seeds, I need to get the compost out of here and into the shed. And to make space in the shed, I really need to get rid of all of this and build a bit more shelves and storage and all that kind of stuff. And then I'll have a nice space to just store all of my compost in the dry. Or I could actually do what I said I was going to do, which is build a little bit of a lean-to to just create a dry storage area, and I could have all sorts of stuff on the ground here that'll be safe and dry. So the next big job for me really is going to be all of the woodwork, getting all the shelves sorted, building up the fences around the outside and all that kind of thing. And I can just imagine someone coming along while I'm building a fence or a shelf, and they're saying, "Why aren't you sewing, JB? Where's all your stuff? Why haven't you got everything sewing?" It's like, what does it look like I'm doing? That's exactly what I'm doing. I need to do all of this stuff before I can actually start sewing, so I can make room, plant this, build this green stalk planter. It's just that kind of knock-on thing, you know. Sometimes there's 10 jobs you got to do before you do the job that you want. There's still this as well. I quite like to rebuild this raised bed, but I'm starting to get into the, you know, we've not got that much time now, and once it's into March and April, then it's tending time, you know, mowing and maintenance and weeding, and it's going to be quite tricky to find time to be building and constructing and that sort of thing. I still haven't pruned the apple tree as well. That's might be on the list for today, I think. Get that out of the way. It shouldn't be too big a job. And thankfully, it's not looking too bad down this side of the plot either. This bed that's just had the soil in, you can see weed growth starting, but new raised bed 1, 2, these look really good. And I'm pretty happy with it just generally. But like I say, there is quite a lot of stuff. This rhubarb that I transplanted, so far, so good. Not looking too bad. I think today might be a bit of a tree day, actually. Get rid of this cherry tree. I don't want this. It's a sour cherry. The birds eat it all. I don't want to build a bird cage around it. It's not a tree I really want. It's one I've inherited. What is that? That is not mine. That has blown from somewhere. Not too sure what's gone on there. There's something else I've not really mentioned. I did build this little cold frame last year, and this might get a bit more use this year. Currently filled with rubbish, as is this. It's just filled with rubbish. We've got some manure bags. This was the hotbed. Do you know this might be... Ooh, little sudden brainwave. I think that might be the perfect size to replace that little one I was just talking about next to the greenhouse. I might be able to just slot that on. The hotbed I tried last year, trying to get the soil kind of warm with a load of manure dug into the ground in the polytunnel. Unfortunately, it didn't really work. One other job, I've brought up the soft broom today. So I think I'm going to give this polytunnel a little bit of a go. Everyone said, I asked on Potty Mouth, everyone was just like, bit of soap, get a soft brush, all that algae will come off. All of this algae will come off. Just like that, they said. I don't trust you. I don't trust anyone who's telling me that a job on the allotment is going to be easy. It's never the case, but we'll give it a go. I've got some soap lying around somewhere. All things considered, not bad. You know, I was expecting, normally, when you leave an allotment for a month, it's you're going to be coming back to some pretty bad stuff. I did have one. There was a dead rat on the bed. That was a bit of a nasty discovery. I feel like the foxes left that for me as a present. And we've got one little hole that's been dug in the bed. So not too bad, all things considered. I just wanted to come up today and give you a quick update and show you kind of what's next on the list. I think I'm going to get a little pruning of the trees done today. And then it's going to be sort of time to start thinking properly about getting the shed upgrades, but they'll be for a future video. And to be honest, it might just be one of those where I'm feeling a little up against the clock now, so I might just get them done and show you what I've done afterwards. But I hope you enjoyed this quick little update and the fact that it's all good news, pretty much. Anyway, the Patreon's on pause for the moment. I gave everyone a month off because I knew there wouldn't be many videos this week, so thank you all ever so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one.